are back, the way better NPCs. We've got to meet Rob and Greg. Greg's happy after a Bears W, as always. um, Today's topic is going to be a little different. We instead of tearing down and comparing Xbox and PlayStation, Rob had a great idea that I will transition to him in a little bit. But first, we wanted to say a couple things to Kevin. Kevin did these awesome portraits that I'm going to show on here. Once I edit this video and whatnot, I wanted to spice it up and not only just have like a team image or a group image and have everybody have their own little animated portrait, because Kevin is the best artist in the world and he does all that awesomeness. If you guys want to say a quick thing, we just go around and meet Greg and then Rob, and then we'll transition into what we're talking about today.
Yeah, man, it looks really good. You got me at my disheveled coronavirus at home look while I have a newborn, so it captures it perfectly and it looks awesome, man. So thank you,
Greg.
Yeah, dude, these turned out so well. Really appreciate the effort that got put into this. Like Amit said, now I'm locked into the beard and the hat look for forever. So
we're gonna have to make new portraits if anybody shaves or anything.
Yeah, right? It's just the new look. I'm loving it.
I love it.
Yeah,
Rob.
man, no, it's crazy dope, yo. Like, you gotta understand, man, it's always been a dream. You know what I mean? To like be like a character type, branded type thing. So I love it. I'm hype, yo. I love it. Thank you.
Kevin, you know me. I love everything you do for me, so I really appreciate you taking the time and doing all that artwork. But with that said, Rob, you take it away and you start with how you feel, and we'll just go down the line.
All right, so you know what it is. We always do a lot of we've been talking about the future a lot. You know what I'm saying? Next gen, right around the corner. But you know, when we close one door, sometimes it's just gotta take a moment to reflect on what we left behind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
we're gonna sit here and take a moment to reflect on the last 7 years of gaming.
Yeah.
That we've experienced. And you said we were gonna be more positive, but I kind of split it up in like 3 kind of sections in my head. And we can shit on things too, because bad things happen. So I figured we could like talk about some of our favorite like moments throughout the generation, some things that maybe disappointed us, and then like our favorite games and stuff. Figured that would be solid.
Go for it, Rob. You go first. You go.
Oh, okay. So
you go first.
Oh yeah, your boy took notes.
He pulled in a meat. He pulled in a meat.
Yeah, bro, I keep up. Let me tell you, I was telling Santino this, yo, for real, like. For me, the excitement that you have when you talk about these things is just like very like contagious, and I like love to like watch it. Like if I was a part of this,
that's a great point.
I would like watch you as a fan. Like I love it. So
let's make each other better, man. Let's make each other better.
It is.
Love it.
That's
That's the energy.
That's right.
So if I had to pick some favorite moments, I think the one that started the tone for the whole generation would be and how it all played out. People want to give it to exclusives, but I think Sony won because of E3 2013. Here's how you share a game on the PS4.
Yep.
That moment was amazing. That was crazy. I remember being like, oh no, like that was like, yeah. So that was definitely a high spot for me, in my opinion. The rise of the VR genre. A lot of people are tired of it, but I think as a genre, it's one of the few multiplayer style games that really like gets my heart racing. Like when you're like in that final 10 and stuff, like just thumping.
It makes
like,
you feel something you never felt before. You feel alive.
Feel something. You know what I mean? So definitely like, and that like PUBG,
Right.
popularized it, but everyone's kind of done it better since. And then the Sony press conference from I think 2016 or 15. I think that was the one where they did like where they like had that whole rollout of like all the games from like the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And like I don't think anything came out that year, but it was like, hey, here's God of War and here's Spider-Man and here's Final Fantasy and here's this and here's this Crash thing and here's all this stuff. And they all don't have dates yet, but they're coming. And then like
you're just excited.
Every 3 to 4 months they hit.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like to the point with like, yeah, Final Fantasy was on that came out this year. So for like, they gave us like the roadmap for like 5 years.
It's like the Marvel roadmap.
Like, yeah, and it
movies.
paid off in a big way. And I just remember being like, whoa, and like all
Mind
those
blown.
different trailers.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a couple for me in terms of like moments of the whatever.
Yeah. Amit, you can go next.
Yeah, man. I got two specific moments. It's not like a moment, but like when they did the console refreshes, when we got the Xbox Series or Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, that like brought me back. There was a lull for me after after Batman Arkham Knight. It was kind of a lull for me because I had so much other stuff going on in my life, a new baby coming and moving houses and all that stuff. So I kind of took a little bit of a break. Obviously I was looking at what games are coming out, all that kind of stuff. But when Xbox One X and PS4 Pro came out, I was like, all right, this is what I've been waiting for. I want something. I want 4K. I want to be excited to like turn on my screen and be like, guys, this is why you have a 4K TV, right? So when all that stuff is coming out, it like totally made me happy and made me want to reinvest. So as soon as it came out, I didn't get the pre-order for the Scorpio the Scorpio version or whatever. But I got the Battlefield One X version, and I got back into gaming that point. So that was really fun.
Hold on. I literally just looked at my Project Scorpio, looking at the title, and I'm like, is it really called that? It's been so long, like since I remembered that, and it's on there, and I'm like, is that what it's called?
Yeah, when they announced it, I was like all in. I was like, I need to get one of these 4K, models, and I wanted like go all in. So I had a 4K TV. Now I got the OLED, so it looks even better, So all that kind of stuff. It totally.
Rob, I hope you remember my story that I'm going to tell about this 4K.
Totally but then the last thing is just because it's so front in mind is when Keanu Reeves comes out with Cyberpunk.
Yes!
Keanu Reeves on top of the world again, right? And then when he comes out,
what did the fan yell to him again?
He's like, you're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking. Like that's such a fun moment.
It was a great moment, yeah.
So, those I'd have to say, just the console refreshes coming out with the mid-gen, and then Keanu Reeves, because who doesn't want John Wick 1, 2, and 3, and I still got to watch this new Bill and Ted, but I want to, so good. So those are my favorite moments so far. Yeah.
Mr. Gregg.
All right. So I'll start with definitely more moments than games, because there's definitely some games I'd want to touch on while we get into this. But for moments, I think number one, which isn't something that really took off for me, but it was putting on the VR headset for the first time, because even while it's not like all the way there yet, and there's definitely improvements. I never touch my PSVR ever.
Oh, you have one?
I do.
You never use it?
No. It's too many cords. Way too many cords.
Too many cords. Fuck it. Too many cords. I don't want to do this.
It's too hot. My face gets all hot. It's a whole thing. But putting it on the first time, man, that was an experience. And like bringing friends over and showing them the kitchen demo, sitting them in the chair and like having them freak out. And it was incredible. That was such a cool experience.
Well, I'm really upset we didn't rekindle our friendship until a pandemic, and I didn't get to try that. So screw me, right?
I mean, I had an apartment in the city, and we put a chair in the basement, and everyone who came over for like 2 months, the first thing they had to do was sit in the chair and put the VR on and do the kitchen.
I'm so mad. I was living in the city
with with the headphones and everything, and just watching them freak out as this like evil like creature would attack them was awesome. It was so cool. It's really something you have to try to like experience to feel.
I still haven't tried.
I haven't either.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it's just one of those things where like that moment was like, whoa, this is like a cool future of gaming thing. I guess my only other like big moment for me that hasn't been mentioned yet, because some of those press conferences and the new console refresh I definitely would say are awesome as well. But I think it was, for me, it's a more Sony-centric fan, was Hideo Kojima coming over to Sony and getting like the Death Stranding announcement was so cool to see. Like, all right, we've had 20
Did you play
years.
That?
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. It's so weird.
How much Monster Energy did you drink because of that game?
I did buy a few. No, that product placement was weird.
Amazon delivery simulator.
It was good. It was just such a weird game. Like nothing I'd ever played.
I've never seen a second of the game, to be honest, and I might just like YouTube walkthroughs to see how it is.
It looks beautiful. A YouTube walkthrough might be the most boring thing you could ever watch.
Yeah, that's fair.
The keywords being walkthrough.
Walkthrough.
Yeah. Literally.
Well, what I found cool about it was like something totally different. I've never played a game like that.
Right.
And it's like just a new style of gameplay. It's a new thing, and it's totally Hideo Kojima. And it's I think the moment, going back to the moment, is like him leaving Konami, coming to PlayStation. That was really like, whoa, like let's see what he can do now.
That's LeBron leaving the Cavs. Like in video game terms, for people that like sports and don't know anything of who could do Hajimo. Oh God, I'm mixing words. Say his name, Greg.
Hideo Kojima.
There you go. I put it all in one. So mine. I mean, I'm piggybacking off you, and Rob is gonna laugh at this story because he knows me very vividly, and that is why he is my best man. When the PS4 Pro was announced and the not Series X, the Scorpio was announced, I was all for Scorpio. I'm like, oh man, true 4K, 30 or 60 FPS. It's going to look awesome on my $1,200 4K TV. And then I saw like the specs of the PS4 Pro, and they were like, this is literally the difference between them. Literally the difference. And I'm like, Rob, I don't need this PS4 Pro. Like, why would I do that? My PS4 has been collecting dust. I've been playing Xbox with everybody the last 6 months, like yada, yada, yada. Not even 12 hours later, because this is the night before the pre-orders go live, I sent Rob a screenshot. I said, Rob, why am I like this? And literally, it was the pre-order for the PS4 Pro.
Yo, he's downplaying, yo. He literally was shitting on this thing. He's like, it's not worth it. It's fucking stupid. And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, it's not a bit like big enough to, like, if you have one, why do it? He's like, yeah, fuck that. And then like,
yeah, and then 12
so
hours later.
Did you also have the Scorpio? Did you also order that?
I have both of them. I had
so that's
two
how I know
PS4
you weren't
Pros.
married at that time.
Oh no.
Now I know. Okay, it all makes sense now. Let's move on.
I sold the other PS4 Pro and got the God of War Edition PS4 Pro, and then a week later they announced Spider-Man, and I was like, Rob, don't let me buy this Spider-Man thing, and I didn't buy it.
You're collecting them like Jordans.
Yeah, seriously. Like how Chris McCulligan has all of his systems still, and he has like 3 versions of like the original NES and all these things.
Yep.
But I think my second like moment for like this gen, and this is more like me being a sentimental dude, and obviously like I've known Gregg since like 6th grade, but we haven't talked until like 2020. Like this generation like has brought back like so many friendships for me, of like I've connected with so many people from high school that I haven't seen in years. Like I'm able to do something like this with all 3 of you, all 4 of us, and it's just like I really think this generation of like in high school or wherever you were in life when the 360 and the PS3 were out, that was your online gaming with your friends. Like that never faded, and you guys did that till no end, and then obviously you get older and that kind of fades away. But like being able to reconnect with a friend from, we were 10 years old, Gregg, and I haven't talked to you since 8th grade.
Yeah, exactly.
And I talk to Gregg every day now, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was really cool to like have this generation like be like a kind of sentimental thing with like, I've connected, I've met so many new people via Twitch, via anything, you know, and I think that like video games are just great for people in general, like people that are shy, people that are outgoing. You can meet so many people and they can be in your life, and it impacts you in all those cool ways. So that was my moment outside of, you know, like events and whatnot. Obviously E3s are always awesome to me, but my story with PS4 Pro pre-ordering is definitely my most memorable moment of this generation. I think let's talk maybe favorite game, and then we can talk like most disappointing moment of the gen. If that works.
I feel like we can hop into disappointment next. That way
let's do disappointment first, and then okay.
you know,
let's do disappointment first. I have no idea, so whoever wants to start with disappointment, please. I know you got notes, Rob, and Amit's got notes. And Gregg, I don't know where your disappointment is going to be. So Gregg or Rob, go ahead.
So I have 4 things. So the first one will be the state that the Master Chief Collection launched in. Like that should have been a slam dunk, and like when it works, it is. But that first like year and a half, 2 years of it,
45 minutes to find your first game.
Basically unplayable.
It's why my Xbox started getting dusty. It's like,
bro,
I was so ready to play that on Xbox hard.
Yo, when they announced it, I was so hyped. And like, I ended up, the campaigns I ended up working. I played all the 4 campaigns with my friends, but we couldn't play multiplayer for shit. And like, that's what
you want to play.
That's Halo. That's Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
man.
cool it was the graphic switching.
That was fun.
That was so
cool.
good. It's like, so like,
cool.
yeah. It's,
Other than that,
I
the
love
game
it.
was trash.
Yeah, man. So
the
way it launched, very disappointing. So that's like one of the biggest like smacks in the face of that generation as an Xbox player. Another thing, disappointment as an Xbox player, we go back to Sony's conference at E3 2016 when Spider-Man was named as an exclusive. That hurt. I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. Like, I ended up getting one in order to play it, but at the time I was like, "Oh my god, what?"
Not the only time Spider-Man was an exclusive too. So
it's hurt, just so much hurt. And then one of the earlier Microsoft press conferences, there was this game by like Black Tusk Studios or whatever, and it was like this looked like a spy game or something. It was like he was going down this building and stuff. It looked super cool. And then they ended up scrapping the studio and turning it into the Coalition, and it became the Gear Studio. So instead of this new IP that would have been super cool and looked promising, you gave us more Gears. And Gears is fun, but
we want something new.
More. Yeah, exactly. So that was disappointing when that happened. And then the biggest travesty of the generation, I blame EA and I blame the gamers.
God, here we go.
For letting Titanfall 2 come out and die a death. Because Titanfall 2 was so fucking good. It launched between Battlefield 1 and whatever Call of Duty that year. Why would you do that, EA? And then the gamers, play it now. Play it now. I tell you, it's one of the best shooters of the generation. The movement, untouched by any other game that tried it. Titanfall 2.
Ladies and gentlemen,
hurt.
His baby.
Hurt.
His baby.
Hurt.
It
needed you. It needed all of you.
We are 3 years removed from Titanfall, and he's still mad.
Let it die a death. That is the biggest disappointment of the generation.
Amit, you can go ahead.
All right. This for me, it's easy. It's Connect. What the crap?
God damn it, Amit. That was mine.
So much,
bro,
right?
Wait.
It's almost like for me, it's like an upside that they just killed it so fast.
I'm not letting PlayStation get away with that stupid ass camera too that I paid for on release too.
That works with your VR. It's pretty cool.
Whatever.
bro, wait. Okay, Connect is a disappointment, but for the first probably 6 months of having it, I definitely was like, I go in my dorm room, like Xbox on while I'm doing stuff, and then it turn on. I'd be like, go to Netflix, boom. Like I was definitely using this shit out of it. I can't even lie.
No, you say go to Netflix. Go to Netflix. Go to Netflix.
Go to Netflix.
All right, now we got. And then you have to wait.
It was tough sometimes. But sometimes when it worked, it was a moment. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can be lazy.
No,
and it would have been cool if like Xbox stood by their ground and was like, this is your one box for your cable, for this, for that, for the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you could just say, Xbox, do this. It just became like, Xbox, play my game. Like the Xbox couldn't do anything else. So
yeah. I mean, the whole Xbox launch, the Xbox One launch was terrible. It was way too expensive. Yeah, like I think I hooked up the TV once to it, and I was like, all right, this is dumb. I'll just connect it to a different HDMI. It's fine. So the whole launch was terrible. And then when you're talking about Connect, like just letting it go, I think Nintendo did that with HD Rumble now too, right? Like Nintendo's like, who cares about this Joy-Con thing that drifts every. I
don't have it. I'm the only one Switch owner that doesn't have a drift.
I do. I definitely do. On my original ones. My new ones I don't, but the original.
I don't have my original ones. That could be it.
Yeah.
That could be it.
At least HD Rumble was like in the controllers and not $100 add-on they forced into a box when you bought it.
Absolutely. No, but I mean, like all these little people. Like we're going to talk about the PS5 controller at some point too, but not today. But like with the haptic feedback, I'm sure that's good. After a year, it's going to be.
Oh, me and Rob talked about that. They're not going to do anything with that after a year.
No.
First party only. That's it.
Just like the touchpad on PS4. It'll be a map.
No, so we got the whole Xbox One launch, just Connect, everything about it, the price, that was just fail. I got it. I have one. I have my day one control, everything. I have it, but that's got to be the biggest fail of
Disappointment
the whole
for you?
generation. Yeah,
Mine broke
absolutely.
3 months in.
Your Connect?
Yeah, then I wasn't gonna buy another one, so it's just
Wow.
it's like a weapon, I guess. If someone breaks in, it's pretty heavy. So,
But it is crazy because I've seen people post online and stuff where like they go to get like some type of medical procedure done, and they have like a Connect that's like used for like medical purposes now for like cameras and stuff. So like they've repurposed
apparently
it.
the camera on it is a pretty decent like HD camera, is what I've been told. I've
great
used
tech,
it.
poorly adopted.
Yeah.
Probably gonna
essentially.
be what we're gonna see with VR coming up as well. Like,
Yeah, VR is gonna be a
VR is gonna be
phase
way
out.
cooler being courtside to a Lakers game than in the middle of Iron Man suit. But
I was gonna say, yeah, I took
another
psych classes,
story or another
VR
time.
like has some pretty cool applications, but I can't see it in the gaming space.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Greg, what was your biggest disappointment, or if you have a list of disappointing things of this gen?
I got a couple. My biggest one is the way that microtransactions have played out
That's
into
fair.
our
That's actually huge.
ecosystem.
Forgot about
I
that.
feel like these battle passes, what we've seen from and I think we're starting to learn, like, it's one of those things, like, even with the Avengers, like, right, they did a battle pass for every character, but it's still so
Hodge
early.
got a
Like,
battle pass.
they
Siege has a
haven't
battle
shown if it's
pass.
free for each one or if it's all these different things where it's like, it's cool if it's just progress. I don't know. They're trying to.
Everybody's got a battle pass because it's an easy
Yeah.
way to make money. It keeps players like who want cosmetics to come back and be like, well, I can grind this free one, but it's like for every free one, there's 8 paid ones. So it's
And
so
that's like,
dumb.
I don't want to get on it too, like, because there's some ways I think it's gotten way better, but I think for this generation, the bigger part of it was this trial and error where we just were constantly getting screwed with battle passes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
microtransactions, and to the point where our sports games, our NBA 2Ks,
I don't wanna
our
talk about it.
Maddens, our FIFAs, their main way they're making money is through these
Is-
areas
oh, yeah.
that we hate.
Isn't there like a roulette or something in one of the NBA
In 2K,
games?
you spin a wheel. Yeah. You spin a
Like-
wheel and you get like 500
Kind of
VC or
nasty.
you get a free pair of shoes. Like, what?
And
And then there-
I'm yeah.
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead. No,
I'm not the
we're gonna
guy
get
who
into it.
I don't want to be, you don't make your money, all these things, but like, I'd rather have an option. Like, give me, this is the full game and let me pay $20-$30 more. And I know that doesn't work because there's the whales who are going to pay for everything, but it's gotten to a point for a lot of games where it's just kind of like sickening and keeps you away from them. So
that was Star
that's a
Wars
huge disappointment for
Battlefront,
me.
right? Are they Battlefront?
Mhm. That
was their huge
2.
problem when it
Yeah.
first launched. It was so like like you got to buy this, and then I mean their revamp of it this past year,
It's been great.
flawless.
Yeah.
I played it; it's amazing. But like, if you weren't a part of like that pay or grind for 100 hours on release, you were screwed.
I think it's pretty. EA surprisingly has learned the best out of it for their non-sports games. Like,
But
they're
when you
like,
shit on them enough, they
Yeah.
will fix their problems. Unfortunately,
agreed. But like, yeah,
Except
I mean,
Titanfall.
2K, all of them are bad at it at this point. It's a mess. So that's my number one disappointment. My other one, I guess, would be more for last generation. I love my Xbox 360, and I was excited to like really go like all in on both these this year or this cycle. And Xbox is just like lack of commitment to growing first party games. And when there was one that was exciting, we'd lose it. Like, I mean, that was just kept being ongoingly disappointing, because what was the one with the dragons and the Scalebound,
Scalebound.
Yeah.
things like that, and all these other ones we'd like see an announcement on in a cool E3 trailer, and we'd be like, this is gonna be sweet, and then we wouldn't get
God, I
it.
forgot about
Skull
that.
and Bones that never came out, like, and probably isn't gonna come out or won't be Skull and Bones. We don't know anymore. Like, they really just never could get any of those right. And for me personally,
fair.
since those are the games that I tend to go towards, it really like widened this gap for me between the two, and like, I'd never touch
Greg, how do you feel?
Xbox.
How do you feel now when they got all the up to 15 studios now, and they're going to be doing what they're doing with like Obsidian and all that? How do you feel about that now?
Prove it, I guess,
Okay.
is my
Yeah,
response.
you got to see it first.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm glad they're doing that, and it's a reason why, like, I'm definitely would consider getting that Series S. It's a great price point, all those things. Let's not look forward right now. We're talking about a retrospective.
Right.
But yeah, no, like, it's exciting, and I'm excited to see them improve it and make some great games. I'd love more competition, and I'd love to be this next generation for me to be playing on both, because there's great games on both that are my style. But that was a disappointment for me this generation, because I probably logged more 360 hours than PS3,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
thought it
without a
would
doubt.
be very even
Totally.
in the 4-1 cycle, and it just wasn't.
Well, I'm gonna keep mine quick since we got to get to our favorite games. I'm gonna piggyback off of Meet with the Kinect, but I'm going the PlayStation camera. When I bought my PS4, I got the one that came with the camera. I got 2K15 with LeBron on it, and then Killzone. When I tell you that stupid ass camera got me technicals every time I cussed at the TV when I was playing 2K, I had no idea that was a feature. I'd be like, this is bullshit. You hear a whistle, I'm like, I didn't call a timeout. They're like, technical. I was like, what? So I would unplug that. I was done with it. Every time I told it to open apps, it never opened it. Open NBA 2K.
This is news to me, and that's the
everything
funniest
else.
thing I've ever fucking
It's dude, go YouTube.
Don't give me
There's
a
a bunch of
First time
technical
it
zone.
happened to me, I was shook. I was like, what?
I was so mad. It kept happening. But my most like disappointing, and it's more of like a moment, and this was fairly recent. I think when did Gears 5 come out? 2018? 2019.
2019. Yeah. Just
19.
yeah.
Last
So
spring.
me, Rob,
February.
and our buddy Danny, we were like Rob got me back into Gears, like Gears 4. We were playing multiplayer hard. Like the 4 months leading into Gears 5, we were like doing ranked. We were playing dodgeball. There were so many funny moments we had on Gears 4. Yeah. Gears 5 launch the night of. I'm 3 energy drinks in. I'm ready to play till 5 in, and you can't log into one game the first 2 days of Gears 5. And we were like all just so hyped to play it. Most of us had the Game Pass to get, because mine wasn't getting shipped to me fast enough. I got the $2 Ultimate. And when I tell you, we tried from literally probably 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. We probably played no more than 3 games that entire night. I can't remember playing any game, and that's not Gears' like a huge fault. I mean, servers are servers, with
Yeah, they
games,
weren't ready.
but they weren't ready. They didn't think they would have that many people on there when everybody was trying to get on there. But the damn camera teeing me up and a game not working on launch is my most disappointing. So I could probably say Halo as well, but I didn't have my Xbox. I got my Xbox later when I graduated. Fatima got me an Xbox, and it was the Master Chief Xbox white one. So I didn't have those problems yet, or the problems were gone, I should say, for Master Chief. But I experienced the problems with Gears. So
can I jump in with one more, because that sparked my mind, and I think PlayStation's getting off a little easy here.
they're getting off real easy.
No Man's Sky.
Oh my
How about
God,
that?
dude!
Yeah. What a like.
Did you buy
biggest cluster storm of like the recipe for disappointment. The developers kind of lying about what it is, the public getting ultra hyped about what they think it could be.
Yep.
And just a game that was just like, what?
That was me for Anthem. I
bought it. I played it for 15 minutes. I'm like, what?
I remember No Man's Sky. They did like a presentation, even like on Jimmy Fallon. So it's not like, hey,
they were paying to get the name out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they were paying hard to get the name out.
Like, it's like nobody sat down and played that game before it came out. They were just like, no, trust me, it's gonna be good. Awesome.
It's groundbreaking.
This is like nothing you've ever experienced. Like,
yeah, no
endless
shit,
world.
There's nothing happening in it.
Well, yeah, it's like Minecraft without anything exciting going
on. Rob, what was your? And I'm saying we got to pick one on this, guys. We have to pick one. 7 years worth of games. Greg, you got a boatload. No, I'll give you 2 then.
Can I get an honorable mention? I'll do 2 and an honorable mention.
That's 3. That's literally just saying 3. So okay,
Yeah,
I'll give you 3.
I'll do 3.
Give me your top 3 most memorable games on this gen, I don't care what the reason is. The game could be awful. All I care. If it's a good reason because you've made friends out of it, go for it. Rob, go.
How many you said? What?
3. Titanfall 2.
3?
Hello. Yeah.
Stop,
There's a
stop,
fly
stop.
on the brim of my hat.
Titanfall already got its shine, but it deserves more. Anyways, the game that gave me the most feels would be Celeste. I don't know if you guys played it. It's pretty fire. It's tough,
Yes.
but getting to the end of it, man, like the music
indie
picked
games,
up
people.
and all this
Let me
stuff,
tell you,
like
real quick,
it just
Rob.
like
Play indie
I
games.
felt it.
Play all the indie
Game
games
Pass
you can.
and like
On
games
Game
Gold
Pass
and
or
all that
anywhere.
stuff has
Play
changed my
'em.
life. I've tried so much
Can
stuff
we all
that I
do a
wouldn't
quick
pay for.
indie game shout out?
What do we want to shout out?
Yeah, I fuck with it.
Shovel Knight.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
People love Shovel. I haven't played
Yes.
it, but I hear good things.
Okay, so that's your first.
Celeste, yeah, big feels with Celeste. Until Dawn. That was
We played that together.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, we had this moment I'll never forget. It was like towards the end in that fucking house, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and the Wendigo's in front of this one character, and he's sitting with his friend, and it was like
drink
stay
part?
still. Yeah. He's like drink your drink. I'm getting nervous, and then he drops the control.
I freaked out, dude.
Yo. We're like, you had one job, yo. How'd you do that?
They made me play the whole game. There's literally 5 of us, and nobody would take the controller, so I had to play the whole game.
I'm bitch made at games, bro. I'm not doing horse shit. Man, yeah, it's hard to pick I had a whole list, yo. That's crazy. Come back to me.
All right, your honorable mention. We'll come back to you. Amit, what are your 3?
I talk about Xbox a lot. God of War. I just played it because one of my friends, Mike, let me borrow his PS4.
Right.
That game I'm still thinking about it. Right. I talked about this on another one of other videos, but it made me want to go read more about Norse mythology. So I read Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman because I loved it so much, right? Like, I'm so hyped for the next one, but this game just it felt like it had everything, right? It had this parent child connection, which now that I have a second one, it's like, it's like you can get
The feels.
but you want, the feels, like you just want them to succeed. Yeah, it just totally connected there. And so that game was the generation. That's my top game of this generation.
That game had everything except a good fast travel system, and I thank you for picking it because I was going to pick it, and now I get 4 games. So count that
They're
as
all PlayStation games, ladies and gentlemen.
Number 2, Breath of the Wild. We don't talk about Nintendo, so Breath of the Wild.
We gotta talk Nintendo more, guys.
Yeah, my wife is one of the biggest Zelda fans that I know, and she's always like, play Ocarina of Time, play this and this, and I never played them. Right? I think I bought Ocarina of Time. I had an N64. I love N64, but I never got Ocarina of Time. She's like, well, get it for 3DS when it came out. I got it, and I just gave it to her so she could play it. But now when Breath of the Wild came out, I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to play this. And I, almost 100% of that thing because I had so much fun playing it on the Switch. It was amazing. I love Breath of the Wild. Third one, and this goes back to 2014, and Rob's going to like this one, Titanfall 1. Right?
Yo,
One?
wow.
Yeah, bro. It was Titanfall.
No, it changed everything. I was like, what is this? I got a mech coming from the sky, and it's all
Rob?
because I played
Talk to these people.
Right? I played 360 basically for multiplayer, right? And then when you have this brand new multiplayer game that's just doing everything right. I know there's no campaign, but everything's going right. I was like, this is why I'm glad I got Xbox One, because now I can play this multiplayer game over and over and over. And yes, Titanfall 2 is amazing, right? But just the first time playing Titanfall 1, I was like, this game, great. Bro. We're in. So
I'm clickbaiting our title. Titanfall 3 confirmed.
No, so yeah, I got one for each. I got one for each console, right? So I think that's solid.
Rob, you missed one that I'm stealing. So, Greg, go ahead.
I'm looking through my PSN profile now.
I know he's.
I don't want to miss anything.
He got the app.
Don't want to miss anything.
Okay. I want yours in order from favorite. Like, this is your pinnacle.
All right, so number 1 overall is first.
Yes.
Okay, that's Last of Us Part 2. A game that came in,
Here come the
delivered
comments. This guy
on
doesn't know anything.
the emotion, delivered on the story beats, delivered on the gameplay, upped it. Don't get me wrong, 1 is amazing too. I'm a little bit partial to Last of Us Part 2. I just think it took me on different turns I wasn't expecting because I didn't get
Wait.
spoiled.
You said Last of Us 1 or Last of Us 2 has been your
2.
favorite for this? Okay, I was like, wait.
2.
Okay.
I played Remastered before, which is also great, but no, Part 2.
Yeah.
I was saying 1 is also good, but the turns 2 took me on the visceral emotion of it all, where like the story was great in 1, and they're 1A and 1B in my mind of like games of all time probably, but 2 stuck with me that I still think about that game. I'm excited. I'll probably play it again on this new difficulty that they came out with. That game was a masterpiece, and I wish it didn't get the reception it did because of the leaks and all that, because I think it really kind of got hurt by that. But man, was that game special. So that's my number 1. My number 2 is,
God, if you take mine, I'm gonna be so
I don't want to
mad.
do one from this year.
Thank
Well,
God.
all right. Luckily, Amita got a war for me.
Dude, say like
Another
Forza or
one
something,
that
please.
this is right up my alley. Probably not the best game on a console, but for me, Detroit Become Human
Fuck you.
was
That was one of mine.
amazing. It was like they took Heavy Rain and used the best parts of that, skip the Beyond stuff that wasn't that great, but the interwoven stories, the decisions that made you want to go back and see how it would have turned out if you did something differently. All the great things Until Dawn did, which was a cool story and horror game. This did really well in a very like powerful and intriguing story that you just kept wanting to go and see the end. Finally, a detective branch where like investigating was important. We've talked about this in Ghost of Tsushima, but it's nice when investigating something has an impact and not just
it has an impact, right? It's
like
not just
feels
there to
like
be
you're
there.
loading or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's number 2.
Please pick like an Xbox game or something, so I don't have to tell these
There's
people
like-
the same thing.
Like what Xbox game?
I
played a few.
Yo,
I played
you can pick
Titanfall. I played
anything,
God of
yo.
War.
go ahead, pick your third.
Okay. It's gonna be Horizon for me.
Thank God.
It was between that and Death Stranding, actually, but Death Stranding
thank
just
God.
had
Nobody
too many
said anything.
downsides.
Okay, thank
But
God.
Horizon is what a cool
Thank God,
open world they
we're-
created. What a cool like they built this world. Spoilers for Horizon, kind of, not really, but like in a US environment, and you don't really know that and when we started, but then you like start figuring out where this is taking place and like the timeline and the events and the history of this
Finding
world.
out everything that happened in that game, like the true backstory of it. I mean, I don't know how far
So
are you in it.
cool.
Oh, I finished it.
Okay. When
It's
you
so
find
cool.
out how like what the government was doing and like
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
they were trying to make the air pollution better, and then they used them as war machines, and then it
Yeah.
crumbled, it turned into Skynet. It's just I didn't expect any of that story to go where it went, and I
Such
loved
an
it.
outlandish like okay, there's like robot dinosaurs and they make it a
Right.
story that like makes it at least makes some sense in that
Right.
world and the environment they do it in is cool and it's just like and like what a cool like battle system, like not quite as annoying to me as like Monster Hunter.
Some
is
of it was
my
annoying.
but I loved it. Like, all right, like how am I gonna attack this like new huge machine?
Yeah,
Like, do I set these
I'm
traps?
impatient, so that's
What am
why
I-
it's like
Yeah, like it took
Yeah.
patience. It took all these different
Right.
things.
when I played it
didn't
a
like
second
when they
time,
got to
I
like
liked it more.
catapult levels and like you're doing like tower defense towards the end. That was a little weird. But
Yeah,
other than that, like I thought like the actual combat where you have to like weaken these things and work them down, it was just a refresher to an open world game in a world where we have so many of these Ubisoft, I don't know, style games with all like just check the boxes. And don't get me wrong, this has check the boxes, but it was refreshing to me. So that's my final one.
You know what I liked about it? I don't know if other games did this or not, but like I liked how the HUD all goes away and you just swipe on the little tab on the PlayStation controller and it all comes back up.
Mhm.
I don't know how many other PlayStation games did it, but I really liked having
Ghost of
just
Tsushima, right?
Yeah,
There's
I
no
was
HUD
just
at
gonna
all.
say you'll love Ghost.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll like Ghost because it's like you get the whole feel of it. You're not distracted by a HUD.
Yeah.
Damn it, I messed up. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Fuck you, dude! Stop! That was mine.
I'm sorry.
That's
That
four.
was the one
See?
I was gonna...
God damn it, Greg.
Heat.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
Sorry,
start with
I'm
Final
sorry.
Fantasy VII Remake because Greg ruined it. We were doing so good without it. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I never played the original Final Fantasy, so I knew nothing coming into Final Fantasy VII Remake. When people were like, "Oh, it's only half the game. You're not even getting all of it," I was like, "There's more." So I played that story, and obviously that game came out right before the pandemic, during the pandemic.
February, so right before.
Right before.
And
As
game,
it kind of crescendoed.
yeah, the story of that game, like at a time where you're at the end generation of consoles and you're kind of lull on stories at that point and there's nothing left for you to play like that's new, at least at that moment, because we had Ghost to look forward to and Last of Us, obviously. But there's always a game before the games that are like supposed to be the big wow factor that comes out, and that's what Final Fantasy VII was to me. Like from start to finish, I've never played a game where I wanted to play every side mission. I wanted every second of that game. Like maybe Witcher was another one for me, but Witcher was just too long. I never got around to doing everything in Witcher. I beat the game obviously, but Final Fantasy VII is my favorite story game of this generation by far for me, remake or not. Just because of what I felt through that. Like obviously other games are amazing, like Last of Us, Horizon, you name the list goes on, Spider-Man, even Detroit, obviously, and Until Dawn. But that was my story game.
Well, I would say one thing about that while you're on it is like what you said, like you never played and it pulled you right in for a remake
Oh my God,
about
dude.
something a story that was that complicated.
I played the demo. I wasn't going to get the game, and I played the demo before it came out. And I told Rob, I was like, dude, I've never played through a Final Fantasy game, and this thing seems amazing. And like Rob played it, and he loved it.
But like what I think is so cool is
this generation.
the ending of that game does something for people who have played the original and love it or hate what it does. It like did something for everybody. Like it created what an accomplishment. And yes, that combat system. Wow.
The combat system was awesome. A lot of people hated it because it wasn't turn-based, and I get it because the originals are turn-based.
It was like the coolest hybrid of
they
like
did a good
taking
job.
turn-based and making it active.
Right.
So cool. It was awesome.
My other game that I had the most fun, like the most laughs out of, and like when my buddies were like, we're playing it tonight, you better not miss it. And if you missed it, you felt like you missed a night's worth of just like laughing and enjoyment. Gears 4. By far, Gears 4 multiplayer with Rob, with Henley, with whoever else was with us, like deucing. It was like every night all we did was laugh. Like, don't get me wrong, we ran through these children that were playing this game and we made them know we were the best on it. But like there were times like our running joke is like we would go down 3-1.
We're the Cavs.
And we are the cat. Like I would get on the mic, I'd bring the mic close. I'm like, are we the Cavs? And we would win. We would like deucing would be LeBron. I'm Kyrie. Rob is J.R. Smith. And we would just go.
Ouch, Rob, are you okay with that?
No, realistically, I'm J.R. Smith.
Very streaky, so it's okay.
But
calling timeouts.
That was my
don't know how much time's on the clock.
Most memorable, like have fun online with my friends. My third, and I hate the game right now. I hate the community because it's so toxic. But a game that like brought out my competitive edge in video games, and like I talked the most shit because I was so good at it, and I'm probably still good at it because I haven't played it in 2 months because I just can't stand it anymore. Rainbow Six Siege. That's like if there's a shooter that I could play over and over, but you give me like minus the toxic community, minus like just all the headache that comes with playing that game. The way they fixed that game from launch, because it was absolute like a mess, and to like as it grew over the years, and just like that, I don't know, like for if you guys have heard of CS:GO, obviously like that's their like team shooter. Like COD is COD. You run around, you shoot things. There's no like there's really nothing to COD. But like Siege is like you were patient, you were slow, and it was like everything is like if you're not talking to your friends or communicating, you're gonna lose 9 out of 10 times. It was like there was just so much to it, and I enjoyed playing that game for like 3 straight years of just I don't know. There was something about that like got my blood like going, like how Warzone for you, Rob, like you just like you get in that like realm of like, oh my God, this is like my heart is pounding. It's so exciting, like everything is fun, and until it just goes bad, which there are more bad nights on that game than good. But those are probably my 3. I don't know, Rob, if Final Fantasy was your 3rd, or if you have another story.
So like I said, I had made a whole list, and so I'm so glad that Last of Us got its shine because I like the conversation around it. Final Fantasy VII Remake was on that. Titanfall was on that. So that's what's so great about teamwork. Gears 4 was on that. Look at that. Look at the team.
Great
of my leftovers. Yeah, my leftovers. I guess I'd give it to the game that got me and my family through the pandemic.
Yep.
Overcooked 2. My sister
Overcooked.
loves it. It's a great like couch co-op field game type of deal. You know what I'm saying? When everything was started and she got really down and stuff, and I showed her the game and she like really like clung to it. So she would ask me like every day to play it, and we would all just we had nothing else to do. So we put tons of time into it, and I think it really helped us stay sane and happy and have a good time. So a lot of my games aren't even like the best games, just the games that kind of like hit me on a personal level because of certain moments.
Yeah.
And that definitely
That's how
was
I feel too.
one of them.
No, I have that. I have that right now. I got on Game Pass. There's Disneyland Adventures. It's a game like came out in like 2013 or something. And my daughter misses Disney, and so she plays that, and she goes to Haunted
That's
Mansion,
awesome.
and she
That's
loves
cool.
it. So it's a little piece of a little piece of vacation for her every time we get to play. So it makes me really happy that she's not missing that she missed summer vacation or anything like that. So
We
Definitely.
before this generation is over, we should set up a way better NPCs Overcooked night.
Oh,
And
I'd
just
be in.
go-
I gotta buy a game, but I'd be in. I'd buy it for that.
It's if you buy Game Pass, it'll be on there. But
Gonna
we
make me
should
play
do
on
like
Xbox.
we have
No,
to
I'm
play on
kidding.
Xbox.
I'm kidding.
You
I'm
can
just
play on your
I'm
PC,
just
your
playing
laptop.
I'm playing up the fanboy part. All right. All right. I got a little thing I want to do just before we end this one. I'm
Do it.
gonna name something that became big over this generation. Something I feel like a few things we maybe not have touched on much, and just a
Okay.
quick 1 sentence, 2 sentence reaction to it. All right. First, Fortnite. I feel like that's the thing of the like
Game changing. That's my
impact.
If you have one word,
We talked
or
about
2
BRs,
words,
but like
game-changing.
Fortnite specifically, just your reaction to it.
I think it changed the way it's like the way we play multiplayer now. It's the new latest and greatest thing, and it's like the father of BRs. Even though there were BRs essentially before Fortnite, like H1Z1, I think DayZ had a BR, but they were the one, or PUBG 2 was before Fortnite, I believe. Fortnite perfected it. They raised the bar for it, maybe not perfected, but they raised the bar to what a BR needed to be, needed to have, minus the building nonsense, which I hate and forever will hate. But I think they took it to a level, and they grasped the audience of the kids and everything, and they're $1 billion company now.
Yeah, I think Fortnite's like genius, but like I do think they get more credit than deserve sometimes because I'd say 90% of the things in Fortnite are taken from other things.
For other
so
BRs,
it's like
100%.
cool, you know what I mean? That's how it works and stuff. But I do give it credit for breaking down the wall that is crossplay. Because I think without Fortnite, we wouldn't have that become like a standard now. So I give it credit for stuff like that.
here's mine. Never played it. I still
Love
have
it.
never played Fortnite. Still haven't
Good
played.
for you.
I
Don't ever play it.
No, it's one of those things where I've seen people play it, and I'm like, okay, and I've seen people dance. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it's like it's part of that thing. I was kind of in a lull, right? Like I said earlier, and that's kind of like the start of it. And I was like, oh, like this is just not my thing.
You can live
anymore.
without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50% of the
this is-
children I see in public are flossing.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think that's
Yeah.
the impact. It's crazy.
I work at the mall. That's what I see all the time, and I'm like, stop, like be
But-
better.
No, but you know what? But yes, it's revolutionary. It's game changing for
Yeah, I
a
think
lot
it
of people free to
revolutionized.
play and go. Yeah.
Right.
All right, I got 2 or 3 more, so we can even be more rapid on these. Games as a service.
Hate it.
Destiny.
Terrible.
Those things.
Terrible.
That's all I'm gonna say about it. I hate it.
That's fine.
Rob?
Yeah. it's like a World of Warcraft type thing. It's like different. I think it ruins certain things, but I think it's like cool to bring it to console. In practice, if it was executed better.
As I'm excited to play World of Warcraft, though.
All right. Next one is remakes, upgraded remakes, remasters. I feel like this generation we've had the biggest influx of like, it's not backwards compatible. We're just gonna.
I was gonna say the start of the generation wasn't backwards compatible. That's why we had so many at the start of it.
And this is more like collections. I'm gonna say more like a BioShock collection than a Final Fantasy VII remake.
There were a lot of remakes that were better than worse, in my opinion. And that's like, I'd say like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 were better than worse. But I still felt like some games just don't need to be remade. Like, or it wasn't a good enough game to be remade. And I feel like remakes for Xbox or remakes for PS, it's a cop out. Like, if it's like, I don't know what game to give for example, but like if it's a game that, well, I'll use Titanfall. If they were like, if this was 10 years down the line, we're all like, obviously we're all older, we're all grown ass men, like, and Rob is already a 50-year-old man or whatever, and they're like, we're bringing back Titanfall, and they're like, but it's Titanfall 2 remade, like, and then they're like, if this does good, we're gonna make 3. Like, sometimes you just need to either leave it at where it was, and you call it a day. It had its impact, or you give us the next game, whether that next game is good or not. Like, that's how I feel about remakes.
I'm good with
it. Depends on the way it's done.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm good with remakes as long as they're building it back up from bottom up, right? As long as they're redoing everything. I have a problem with ports and remasters, right?
I was gonna say, are we talking remasters too? Because like,
I think this whole reflecting on both is part of the conversation, because I think we've seen both, and I think one is good and one is kind of trash.
If you do remasters, it has to be done right.
Direction.
Like Link's Awakening remaster to me was good. I don't know about you and me, but I liked it.
Oh, see,
yeah,
I thought that's a remake though, isn't that? Because remastering would be kind of just like updating the visuals a little bit. I think they.
Oh, I'm confused then. Okay.
There's a lot of blurred lines in this area. And I feel like that's something that's come out. Like, some of it feels like this is an old backwards compatible game that I'm paying for, and some feel like you put time and effort. Like,
okay, here's my example. Heavy Rain.
Remaster.
Awful remaster.
Remaster.
Okay, so that was awful, or it just didn't age well.
I'd say there's some that are
like the
remastered.
new Tony Hawk's, like the new Tony Hawk 1 and 2. That's a remake.
Yeah.
Right. So they built it back up to be like it feels.
I like remakes. I don't like remasters.
Perfect. Boom.
Yep.
I like.
So
remakes.
like, what I was gonna say is, I think at the start of the generation, it made sense because neither console was backwards compatible. But I feel like now there's no need for remasters. If you're gonna redo it, it should be remake, because it's just like, I don't know. It feels like a cash grab when it's just like, okay, we up-resed it and you can play it here.
Essentially, the
versus
phrase,
like
the cash grab,
giving it the love it deserves. Like, you could tell when a remaster or remake has the extra put to it to make it be like, oh, this is worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Nintendo's the worst at this right now, though. So.
Well,
oh my god!
And I think this is important because the biggest game of this generation is a port / remaster.
What game is that?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started. I love Grand Theft Auto 5, but man, give me 6 already. This is
that
3
is
generations.
the biggest disappointment of the generation as
Yeah,
well.
Oh, I didn't talk about Red Dead 2.
Promised story DLC. They
money
promised story
grab, bro.
DLC, but GTA Online was too successful, so they didn't do it.
And GTA Online is dope.
I'm not a
fuck.
GTA 5 guy. That is, in my opinion, the biggest game.
It's gonna be on 3 consoles. It's gonna be on 3 generations.
When they showed
kicked
that
off the PS5 review.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
I remember. I was
so
like,
mad.
what?
I thought I was gonna get 6.
RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2.
I loved Red Dead
I
Redemption.
know.
2.
I should have mentioned that. I needed more than 3, Santino. This isn't fair.
That's what I'm saying. This guy said 3, bro. What is he doing?
I'm on like 7 right now.
Amit needs to talk about his remaster, rehash, whatever it's called. Go ahead, Amit.
Wait, about Nintendo? But how?
No, not Nintendo. Just in general.
God.
How do you feel about remasters?
No, if they're gonna do it, you got to remake it. You got to give a reason.
It's got to be done right.
Yes, and
Yeah.
because I have all my old consoles. I can just plug it in and play the old one if I want to,
See, and that's
and I
if you're
have
like
that, but I'm lucky because
not everybody keeps their stuff, right?
Exactly. People want to sell to upgrade. I totally understand that, but no, if it's you got to remake it to get my interest back into it. Like you said with Link's Awakening, I played that whole thing. I have it on NES, and I have it.
That was the first Game Boy game I ever
great.
played in my life.
Yeah.
Link's Awakening. Right. Greg, you got any more?
I got my last one.
I haven't gotten any 10-minute warning, so.
All right, my last one, and I think it's something we overlook about it started this generation really, is games with gold / PS Plus free games. It gets so much hate, but it brought us games like more recently Fall Guys, Rocket League, some of the biggest games of the generation, at least most zeitgeisty games, came from those things. And the value, when it is something you don't really think about, like the number of games you just hit add to library on your PlayStation and you have a whole collection. Like even before
That's how it was with games with gold. Yeah,
I think this is it was a cool thing this generation that doesn't get much talk about. So let's talk about that for a second.
You want to go first, Rob? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, like I said, one of the games I listed was Celeste, which obviously was for sale, but like I heard good things about it, but I didn't play it until it was on Games with Gold, and I was like, oh, everyone talked about this game last year, let me play it, and it ended up being one of my like favorite games of the generation. I feel like these platforms, Games with Gold, PS Plus, they give these games an opportunity to shine in a way that they wouldn't, because like I said, for me, it's like if I'm gonna drop some money on something, it's usually like, oh, what's the big fancy looking thing, you know what I mean? Like I'm very guilty of looking past a lot of indie games or smaller looking games or like double A, single A titles and stuff instead of like and only looking at triple A's. Like Game Pass, Games with Gold, these things definitely like showed me a whole different world where I've experienced some of my favorite experiences more so than those expensive big budget titles. So I definitely think it's a great thing that these things are providing for people.
I think it even at the beginning, everybody gives it flack, like PS Plus and Games with Gold, because they're like, oh, this is an old game. Why would I want to play this? Yada, yada, yada. Like, dude, not everybody can afford to buy that game even now. So, like, go play it. Like, for people that missed out on those opportunities, it's a wonderful service. I don't know how much longer that'll be around, though, in my opinion, because of your Game Passes, because of whatever PlayStation. What's PlayStation? PS Now?
PS Now.
To me, I feel like, and like even the promotion for Games with Gold, like here's your 2-day tweet, and then they never talk about it again. And then they'll tell you before the month is up, hey, it's going away. Here's the new lineup coming. And they're doing that with Game Pass. It's like some games are only on there for X amount of time, and then they're refreshing the queue and it's a new game. Like when GTA was on there, once they announced that Red Dead was coming on Game Pass, they got rid of GTA 5. So I don't know if they're going to keep Games with Gold around because of Game Pass's success. I feel like they can integrate them in some way or another. It would make sense to me. But I think I've always thought it was a great service, because for kids who like me and Rob, like our mom or dad would buy us a game. We'd have one game like once or twice a year, like 1 or 2 new games once on Christmas and your birthday. And the game you wanted that you didn't get just happened to hit Games with Gold. Like, that's Christmas all over for you again. You know what I mean? So I loved it. I'm a fan of it. I just don't know if it'll be around much longer.
Yeah. Quickly. How can you not like it? Right. It's just highlighting a game that you might have missed. Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are the same people that are like, "Oh, The Last Jedi is the worst," and I'm going to make a screen name on, Metacritic for this.
No, I know.
But like, it's highlighting a game you might have missed, or giving a developer, a little bit of credit here. Promotion in that way is never a bad thing.
Exactly.
And it's just accessibility, right? That's the whole thing. We want all these games to be accessible. We want them in as many people's hands, because as Rob said earlier, we all love video games. We all want to play video games. Let's just have fun with it, Right. So Games with Gold, absolutely. I wish there was more that they're doing, but you got to highlight what they got and play the games that you can.
Well, these were good, Greg. These were good.
Yeah, I think those were just some things that like overshadowed the whole console generation, things that kind of popped up that are just things that you kind of got to touch on when you're talking about the PS4 and Xbox One lifespan
All right,
as a whole.
I'll give the closing question, and this will be it's a combo of either you played your PS4, you played your Xbox, or you played both at once. If you had to give this past gen out of 10 a rating, 10 being the highest, what do you rate it? Rob, you're first.
Probably like a 8.
I'm okay. Amit, we don't even have to explain. You just give us a number.
Yeah, I think 8 sounds right. Yeah, that sounds good.
Greg,
Yeah, I'm gonna say 8.5. I'm gonna yeah.
I'm
8.5
between
to
8 or
9.
9. I enjoyed this generation, and I'm looking forward to what they bring to the table of the next. Obviously, we're getting older, and games are going to be harder to play, especially when it comes to story games, as we all have kids one day or we're just busy. But this generation definitely was especially from like the Xbox perspective, I feel like it was the coming back to greatness story. Like you started rough and you made it out of the mud, and Xbox you closed somewhat strong. PlayStation, you were always strong. You stayed strong, and you did your thing.
You got stronger, actually.
They got stronger. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
honestly,
They got
to be
stronger.
honest.
They kept growing and they kept getting better. And I think that's why having this competition between consoles is good, because it pushes the limit to what we get out of games, what we get out of solo games, even multiplayer now with crossplay, cross-gen, even with COD. So it's exciting to be able to reflect on 7 years worth of consoles, and here's to the next 7.
Yeah.
Boys, it was fun as always. We will think of something fun to talk about next. Maybe we can get Amit's perspective on how much Nintendo is dropping the ball.
I love it.
We should do a
feel like-
Nintendo episode.
I think we
we've
should.
Some
neglected
Nintendo
Nintendo
focus.
too
'Cause
much.
I can go all day about this Mario 64 coming. Like,
Okay,
fucking.
so let's plan it.
When is
Our
ARMS
next-
2 coming out?
Oh, God. Our next
People want to
video
know.
is going to be Nintendo focused, but for now, with this console generation closing for Xbox and PlayStation and a new one on the horizon, let us know what you thought about your favorite game, your least favorite game, what disappointed you, what made you happy, and we will go from there. Stay tuned for the Nintendo slander video. And guys, as always, it was fun. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Hashtag save Titanfall.
Save Titanfall.
Go
Talk to you
Bears.
later, guys. Go Bears.
All in
Yeah,
on
go
Mitch.
Bears, Greg. Love you, bitch. Later, guys.
Later.